live. How are we doing? Whoop. Let me light up a little bit. Welcome. My name is Copper Bear. You're watching Hanging with Bears. And we've got some people rolling in. We've got Rhino, Maxed Out Bear, Wild Meadows Farm, Tracing It Twice, Blanket Bear. What's going on, guys? Fire Marshal Bear. Hey. What up, Rhino? Let's do the kangaroo joined. Flo Cow, Jenny Bear. What's going on, guys? Happy Saturday. Howard Bear. Today is episode or part 335. We have Hope and Windmill Bear joining us. They just got married, and so we're going to find out a little bit about their story. Board Game Bear, what's happening? Precision Barber, Clear and Present Bear, Father of Seven Bear. Let's see if I can send a request to Hope. O'Brien Bear, welcome. Printer Bear, Roe Bear, Jim Brickham. What's going on, guys? Got a nice big quality set of people here. Really quick.
Hello.
Welcome, guys.
Copper Bear.
Hi.
Just drop your phone.
I'll let you guys get situated. Bex, Texas, Wobbly, welcome.
We're situated.
Awesome. Very good. Well, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Really excited to have you guys on. How is things going? How's everything going?
Great.
Yeah, things are going.
Yeah.
We're in the process of still unpacking and moving into, my place. What was my place now is our place.
Yep. So we just got married January 8th, and I moved in just about like a week after we got married. So we're in his place now, just trying to merge and purge everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I called it the purge before the merge.
Yeah.
We're trying to just all the waste out of our life, the hoarding. Not that we're hoarders, but everyone holds on to silly things. So just getting rid of all the stuff that doesn't matter and just try to surround ourselves with only things that we use and that we love.
Absolutely. Awesome. You're Windmill Bear, you're Hope Bear. So why don't you guys take a little bit of time each and say how you found Owen and the bear community, and then we'll kind of work our way out from there. Everyone's saying congratulations to you guys.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, the Bears are awesome through this whole thing. Incredible. Unbelievable people.
So how did you find Owen?
So how did I find Owen? It did take me a second. When I was hanging with the Bears, the first couple meetups, I got thinking about it. How did I stumble across Owen? And I remembered it was progressive. YouTube was feeding me clips, like 10-minute clips, 10, 15, 5-minute clips. And at the time, I was really into, Pizzagate, QAnon, Trump, all the spells, all the spells of the day. And I was starting to get worn out because, there was no solutions. It was just the constant. I felt like in the loop again. I'm like, here comes Trump. Oh, now Ben Shapiro and everyone, they're reporting on it. This is the awakening. This is the happening that everyone's been waiting for. And then I just realized you're just stuck in the same loop again. This was just a really well-orchestrated spell, brought a lot of people in who were otherwise checked out. So I started to get weary with Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. They were just pointing out the problems, not offering the solutions. So along comes Owen on YouTube, and he's making fun of Ben Shapiro. He's taking shots at Crowder, and I didn't know his story, his relationship with it. It was just hilarious. It was free at the time. And I'm like, who is this guy? And it's at the same time, my friend was trying to convince me of Flat Earth.
Oh, okay.
Flat Earther yet. That actually came before Owen, like only a few months before. So everything happened at once. Started watching the 10-minute clips, became 20-minute clips. And then he started talking about his streams all the time. I'm like, where are these streams? Where are these full live streams? And then, seek and you shall find. And I found the Bears. I found the live streams. Got really into it 2020 and wrote my first letter. Everything started happening really quick. Went on to Bear Vibe. Went to Serenity Valley Farms.
Oh, yeah, Bear Vibe. OG.
So it was just, just a case of, I've been a truth seeker my whole life. And the truth seeking just kind of, made you point out the bad guys, the fluoride, 9/11, take your pick. It's just been this evolution of psyops over, about the last 15 years. 9/11 was the first one thing that really woke me up. And so he was offering hilarious solutions to real problems.
Nice. And Hope, how did you find Owen?
I found him on YouTube. I was just watching like Louder with Crowder. I found him through that, and I thought he was really funny, so I just checked out his YouTube page, started watching his comedy, and I really liked the, his women and men dynamic routine. So I thought that was funny, so I followed him on Instagram, and then saw that he was, having a live stream. So I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. I joined, and he was playing the piano and, talking about the moon. And I was like, who is this guy? I'm like, this is awesome. And then that was back in like 2018. So I've been with the Bears for a while. Didn't really start connecting with the community until about like 2020. And I think that's when a lot of people started to branch out and reach out to each other that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can relate to that story. Like, I've been listening to Owen for years and following, Bears, but it wasn't really until 2020 when I was like, all right, things are going to happen.
Yeah.
I remember your letter.
Yeah.
That you wrote before you even met Windmill.
Yep. Yeah, that letter.
You're just, I'll just briefly say what I remember.
Okay.
So you're a young lady. You're looking to get married and get out of the cubicle life. Mm-hmm. And, this is coming after the 2019 when really Owen was really like just drilling it home of the women don't belong in cubicles. They should be mothers. We need to respect them as much. And so I think that's probably a bit of your inspiration. Does that sound fair?
It was great because he really inspired me to keep, looking in different directions. Like I kind of always never wanted like a career. I just didn't feel like it was right for me. And it was just something that was always just like pushed down my throat. Like anybody going through public school, go to college, it's the thing to do, what else are you going to do? So that I just kind of felt like that was like my path. And I ended up getting, good jobs through people that I knew. I dropped out of college shortly after I began college. But just Owen preaching that just really resonated with me, and it just really encouraged me. So I just wanted to share, my view on it to encourage other women or, other people in similar situations. But
yeah, and it really is letters like that from women mm-hmm. that Owen's reading on stream that I think really resonate, because I remember it's Long Haul Bear, and it was a girl, and she was a lawyer, and she was this really high career lawyer, and you guys may know her, Buttercream Bear. But she wrote this letter, and it was so inspiring. Like, it just spoke to me. Like, her testimony just spoke to me. And so the letters are so amazing.
Yeah. And
the way that they just resonate with people.
Yeah, it's, and plus the synchronicities on stream when he's, talking about something and then reads a letter, it just connects so well. But it was amazing the amount of feedback that I got from that letter specifically. I only wrote to him one time, which was that letter. And I had so many people reach out to me just saying how they felt encouraged. Like this one girl, she made an Instagram account just to like thank me for sharing my views. And I thought that was really cool that she took the time to, reach out to me. And, it's like, wow, I was like, the Bears are really, really cool.
Yeah.
One of them sent you a letter too, didn't they? Through the mail?
Oh no, that was something else. That was through Bear Vibe. Somebody started a chain where they were like posting their addresses. So I was just like went on there. I'm like, well, it'd be fun to send like a random bear a Christmas card. And I got connected with KD Freedom Bear, and she's from Scotland. And we ended up just exchanging like.
I love Katie. She's listening. I love you, Katie.
Yeah. So that it was really cool. But yeah, that was separate. That wasn't the letter, but that was just being involved with Bear Vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bear Vibe's so OG.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so effective. I found first meetup all my core crew on there. And then everything started evolving so fast. It's like Bear Vibe just dropped off like that. But it was the place that got me plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really successful.
Yeah. So you guys are in Michigan still?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are in Michigan. I got to meet you at Midwest Bear Fest. We got to hang out for a little bit.
That was a blast.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, because that was kind of, we'll just kind of go along the story. You guys, it's 2020 and you're like, okay, we're going to go out and meet bears. And so that's when you guys connected with Serenity Valley Farm. And maybe tell us a little bit about that, because it sounds like from Bear Vibe is where you got that information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to know the story of like leading up to how we met?
Yep. We're going to go there. That's where we're on our way to.
All right. Well, I got on Bear Vibe, and Western Ranger Bear had he had made a post about just getting together for a weekend. It was the first bear meetup. He had actually reached out to a couple bears and made some one-on-one contacts. So that was the first meetup. And I was working up in the thumb of Michigan, working on the windmills up there. And it was about a 4 or 5 hour drive over there. And I remember talking to him online, kind of committing to it, but then, just kind of just lounging out, about half the day. And then it just like hit me as I'm just sitting there, downloading gravy, whatever it was. What am I doing? I should go see the bears. It just hit me like a rod of lightning that I was just kind of being just sitting around. I'm like, no, I'm going to go see this, because it had gotten to the point where, well, it's kind of too late to go now. And I'm like, no, just go. And so I ended up getting there at about 7:00 at night, the first night. And I walked up to the wrong door. There's about 8 doors on that house. As you know, I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah,
I didn't get to go in the house, but yeah, there are multiple doors.
Yeah. Well, I walked up to the wrong door. I knocked on it, and it took a while for him to realize I was there, because there was no one on that side of the house. And he opens up the door, and it's Western Ranger Bear, goofy, curly-headed, allegedly 1/8 Jew. And, he opens the door, and he looks at me. I look at him. I go, is this Bear Taria? And he goes, this is Bear Taria, man. Come on. And that was like the vibe. Like right off the bat was, are we best friends now? Like, yeah, we're best friends. And so we just had the best time. I also met Verum Bear and his wife, and I can't remember who else off the top of my head. And I ended up staying the night and kicking it the next morning. That led into a few more meetups where he's like, I've got projects on the farm. I want to fix up my chicken coop and clean out the barn. I want to renovate the barn, get all the junk moved out in the back. And this was even like pre Bearfest planning. So this is original. And so I was already at the farm crushing. I think it was the 3rd or 4th work weekend there. And before the Christmas party, where Birth Alchemy Bear had invited some more people, including Hope Bear, to come up. So I was already an established guest at Serenity Valley Farm, working, crushing. When the Christmas meetup happened, the legendary Christmas meetup. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. Have you heard anything about that? December 5th, 2000.
I think you might have to share, because now we're all curious what happened.
Yeah. We'll tell you all about the Christmas party. That's where we met. So yeah, that's my story. As I had already been there. And then, how did you find Serenity Valley Farm?
Yeah, well, I guess in 2020, I wanted to, everybody was staying inside, so I wanted to make the effort to try to reach out to bears. I'm like, it seemed like the world was like crumbling. I was like, I gotta find my people. So I was just reaching out to bears locally, but I started with getting more active online, because I didn't really chat in the chats too much until like 2019, 20, time. So I started getting more connected with bears, and then after my letter hit, that was like right before the Christmas meetup. It was around Thanksgiving that I started getting a lot of attention because of that letter. So it, caused me to talk to more people. So I got involved in a Michigan bear chat group on Instagram, and somebody, we were trying to create our own group on the Detroit side, trying to make a, some type of bear meetup, but it wasn't really working out. So just some more bears started getting added into the group, and somebody brought up, the Christmas party. And at first I didn't really want to go because it was so far. It was 3 hours from me on the west side of the state. So, and I didn't really want to go alone, I've never really been to a huge bear meetup like that. I've only met a couple people here and there. But I decided to go, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
So you guys, you're already there, established, and then you're just showing up, and you guys don't even know that you're gonna meet each other. You're just going to hang out. And so how did you guys kind of connect? Windmill just I'm a legend, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah. Well, in the article that we wrote for the magazine.
Oh yes, we wrote an article for the magazine.
It does detail, of what happened, the events, but we could go over it quickly. Yeah. So I get to the farm, and he was the first one to, and we pull up to the farm, and he came out of the front door immediately just to greet the new guest, and he's just standing there all tall and handsome, and I didn't know who he was. I thought he was the owner of the house. I really didn't know. And then
yeah, I just came and greeted them, and we just welcomed you into the house, and then there were some.
Well, right away, because I came with a different. So I just one of the bears that I met in the Detroit side. We drove together, and so when we got to the farm, Windmill Bear was the first one to greet us, and I had my dog with me, so I'm letting my dog go take care of her business, run around before we go inside and meet everybody. And he just comes over to me just to talk, and he immediately asks me if I'm with that guy. And I was like, no.
I wanted to know myself, if she's with him, then, all right, then I'll just go back to crushing, building the coop. But if not, then, we can open a conversation. I can open a conversation.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Yep, just got straight to the point. That's right, Roberta.
Yeah.
Woodshop said, Copper is so entranced with this love story. You know it. I think it's wonderful. It's it's hopeful for people. And it's cute that your name's Hope Bear.
Yeah. My real name's Olivia, and my middle name is Hope. So Hope Bear, other than it being part of my name, it's just something that I've always resonated with my whole life. I've always had hope for tomorrow, through the bad times, through the good times. I've always had a hopeful outlook on life. So I thought Hope Bear was perfect.
No, it's great. It's great.
And reflects that.
So you guys start talking, and then afterwards, are you still on? So you're in the Detroit side, but are you still over where the Serenity? Because that's 3 hours away. Is that where you're permanently located, or?
No, we're in the area.
Yeah, we're still in the Detroit area.
But we do go over there and visit.
Okay. So you're from there, right, Windmill?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm from Wisconsin. Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
Do you want to go a little further back in my story? It's all interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is your stream. You guys dish the gravy. You tell the stories.
Well, I was a traveling wind turbine technician, and I was down in Texas and then over in California for a stint about 2 weeks. I was starting to have more and more headbutt with the management on site just because industry problems. So it eventually landed me over in Port. What is that? Is that Port Huron? No, that's not Port Huron.
Austin.
Port Austin, Harbor Beach, up on the Thumb, working over there, and I started to get plugged into bears while I was working there. That's when I got on Bear Vibe. Just having a crushing year. The gravy was really intense. I'm swimming in like Huron every single day, just getting my head straight, getting my soul right. The dreams that summer were crazy intense, just really. And I was talking to other people, other bears, family members. They're all having similar experiences, just a really energetic summer. And so just getting my mind right. And as this COVID stuff is ramping up, you hear more and more rumors of war, right? Whispers of COVID testing, oh, it's coming for you. It's coming for you. And, I was resolved to not do it, take any test, go along with it, not wear the mask. And it was probably because I was, in a more isolated region of Michigan that, it went so smoothly for so long. But eventually someone at site who was overworked, I think, got tested for COVID, and they tested positive. So then I got a text message from the project manager saying, we're all down at the clinic. Let's go get tested. This is Ruby over here. Oh, she's not in the screen. And so, because I had gone to a chiropractor 2 days a week, and I would get into the shop an hour late. I had arranged this with my manager. So I get into the shop to that text message saying, come down, get COVID tested. So without... And all the guys come back. The last one to come back is the project manager. And I walk right up to him. I said, I'm not getting tested. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'm not going to get tested. And he said, well, you can leave site then. And at this point, we had already had some disagreements about how he was running the site, or just the things that it wasn't my site to run. It was his. But, I had obligations as a technician to, follow certain protocols in my contract. And project managers a lot of time want you to do the opposite of that for production. It puts you in a really tenable position. And so I told him no, and he just instantly was like, go, because we were already not getting along. But we respected each other. I made his job hard, but he respected me for it. And I talked to him 45 minutes before I left. But the best part was he came back from right when they were coming back from the shop, I was just sitting there by myself. There was no one else there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to refuse this COVID testing, and I'm going to just have to deal with the consequences of whatever happened. And, I'm a legend and all that. So, I'm like, it's no problem, right?
No big deal.
The thread of doubt that drifted into my mind at that point, when you're sitting there by yourself, contemplating the consequences of what you're about to do. I mean, do I really want to lose this job? I'm making so much precious money. I don't want to give this, and that's really, and I'm like, no, I don't, and started drifting into my mind, the self-doubt. And just as soon as it took seed in my mind, I looked up, and there's this sign in the shop that I'd never seen before. It was on the outside of a propane holding tank. It said, do not pump. I had never seen it before.
That's hilarious.
Do not pump. And I started laughing to myself. There's no one else in the shop. I started laughing and then laughing more. As I realized, God just gave me a huge wink, a big synchron. Might as well say, do not cuck, or don't have, do not pump. And only bears would get that.
Yeah.
So crazy that I saw that. I'm like, all right, I'm towing the line. He came back. I told him no. He said, well, you can get out of here then. But we ended up having a 45-minute conversation. I told him, like, Doug, this is all BS, and you're not standing up for your guys here. I know the order's coming in from the top, but you got to protect your guys. I'm losing my job. Why about you stick up for your guys and lose your job? Make a statement. But not for whatever reasons. Reasons that we've analyzed over the last 2 years. It's just people's own personal sin usually. Keeping them compliant to that. But
it's really funny you say that, because I've been working for a really small company, and there's this young guy. I think he's maybe 19, 20. Oh no, he's a little bit older than that, 20, 21. And they were trying to get him to work more hours. He's like, no, I don't want to. I'm working these hours. And he's not there. And the first thing my manager says is, get him a car loan, get him into debt, basically, so that he'll want to work more hours.
Oh,
I'm not kidding you. These are tactics that they're real. Like, you know, I think something that's overlooked is Owen's financial like advice streams. And I remember in your letter, you were talking about paying off all your debt and being debt free. Yeah. And I remember your post when I think you maybe sent a super chat where you're like, I'm finally debt free.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
With the wings.
Yeah. I made a post and I think I sent a super chat, and yeah, I was just debt free. It was actually on his birthday, last year. Mm-hmm. I sent in my like final payment, and it was so exhilarating.
My future wife became debt free on my birthday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was just, you know, that's something that I thought would be a gift to my future husband and my family, was just to be debt free. And I never liked the idea of using money I don't have. I've never owned a credit card, no matter how many times my dad or my friends or somebody has told me otherwise, you know, to get something like that. Oh, just use a credit card for gas. Like, it's cheaper to pay with cash. but
it'll build your credit score.
Yeah.
You just pay it off every month.
But, yeah, so getting out of debt, you know, I'm trying to, like, to all my friends, I'm just trying to be really enthusiastic about it. I threw all of my money at my debt just so I wouldn't have that heavy burden anymore. And it's like, that was something I was really scared of for a long time, mm-hmm. was like getting my bank account down to zero. Was just like, I thought it was such a fear. Mm-hmm. Learned it through society, through my parents, and just being afraid of, you know, not having enough money, that I learned that was just nonsense. That money is just money. It's a tool. If you allow and ask, like, God will provide that to you when you need it. And it's worked out remarkably.
Absolutely. Like, faith is such a important part of, like, you know, what we're doing. And there's just a lot of beautiful things going on in our community. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome. So, so you guys start dating, mm-hmm. and then Midwest Bear Fest comes up. And obviously you guys are going to go, and just tons of people are going to be going to this event, which it was really fun. How did you guys enjoy that?
It was amazing.
Best event of 2021, except for engagement. Well, the engagement was at the Bear Fest.
It was there.
That was January. So
that was this year.
Yeah. Best thing of 2021, just Bear Fest, and then the engagement during that.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I was able to take my nieces to come camping, and that was really big for them. You know, there's 3 and 8 years old, so, and they made friends so fast with a couple other, you know, there was just like a group of young girls running around, and, you know, they made friends so fast, stayed really busy, so many different activities for them to, you know, to experience, and
them being around trusted friends, bears, people with good values.
It was such a relaxed environment, because it was like you could just, I felt like calm just letting my nieces run around without me having to like just watch them all the time. And, you know, they were able to make friends, and I was able to meet new bears and, you know, chat with our friends. It was a great time.
Mm-hmm, yeah, the Wisconsin Bears came over, crushed it. Mm-hmm. Emperor sold some kombucha. That was cool, because I had gone and seen them about a year before. As I said, I'm from Wisconsin, so when I was just getting plugged into the bear community, I was also reaching out to the Wisconsin Bears, because I was kind of in between at that point. Mm-hmm. Became a full Michigan transplant. It was nice to see them there too. So it brought in people from all over.
Yeah, I came from Oregon, so I think there was a bunch of people that came from the east. I mean, it's a nice middle ground. It was really exciting because it was a festival. It was a first bear festival where, I mean, there was an entrance fee, but for what we got out of that, it was way worth it. In fact, you know, I think they could have charged even more, just because of like the big tent that they had, all the games that they had, the competitions. It was really well thought out. It was interesting because it was raining. And, the RV that got like mudded, it was just sunk.
Yeah,
Boomer Bear's camper sunk.
I remember we were driving, like on our way to there, we were driving and we could see the storm clouds, and I was looking on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I wonder if anybody's posted anything about all this rain. And I saw that picture of, I think it was you and Birth Alchemy Bear and a couple others just like under the tent.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a flood.
It was I don't think that they were there for very long, and all the water tables, like it was just like where the tent was where most of the water was. But it was really fun, particularly at night, like everyone being around the campfires, and just you can go from bonfire to bonfire, like there were several going on, people from all different parts, and you can just go from one to the other and meet people. And I got to meet a lot of bears for the first time there, and it was really cool. But like you said, your engagement happened, and so I know it's in the magazine, but maybe you guys want to talk about your engagement.
Yeah, well, so I had the ring. I had it for a while, and I didn't have a plan. I had a direction. Because plans fall apart every time you make one. You come up with the details. So I had the ring for a while. I hadn't brought it with me anywhere, and I didn't know I was going to propose, but I should have known, because this is the first time I brought the ring with me anywhere. And like going to Midwest Bear Fest, I'm like, well, this seems like a good enough opportunity. I didn't know that I had internally convinced myself. So I brought the ring, and then my family came. And I wanted to talk to my older brother and my younger brother. They're both married, both with kids, both legends. Just talk to them, before engagement, just get some advice, some brotherly advice. And so I go up and I sit on Western Ranger Bear's epic patio overlooking his 47 acres. And I started talking to my brother. We're both there looking out over the field, and I said, well, I just wanted to talk to you about marriage, big brother. I want to get married. And he goes, yeah. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I got the ring with me. And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah. So he's like, so you're going to propose to her this weekend, right? I'm like, well, he's like, he just like puts his arm out like this over the whole 47. He's like, this is where you met, right? And I'm like, holy crap, I'm proposing like today. And so I didn't even really have a conversation about marriage or anything. I just brought up engagement. He said, yeah, you're doing it right now, right? Yeah, of course. Definitely.
I guess it's happening.
Well, like I said, I had already brought the ring with me, so I think I was already there.
You're already there. You just needed a little nudge.
Yeah, and
a pep talk.
Oh, all the festivities going on. We had her two nieces with. And so I didn't want to make a big spectacle out of it, but I didn't want to, not propose. So I thought the best of both worlds would be just taking her down a moonlit path with the cornrows on both sides of the trees and everything right before the fireworks. And then just, have a private, intimate proposal, versus in front of, everyone else. And so that was a very wise decision. And
did you know it was happening, Hope?
Well, I knew it was coming, right? Because we had been talking about it, and I knew that,
very open the whole time.
Yeah, eventually he would do it, and I was hoping that he would do it at the festival, because I'm like, this is where we met. This is, we spent a lot of time here together, and I was hopeful that he would, but I wasn't going to get upset if he didn't that weekend. So, like I said, my nieces were there, so a lot of my attention was on them throughout the weekend. So we finally got them settled down at the fire with their other friends that they met with s'mores, and it, things were winding down, and Windmill asked me to take a walk. So I was like, oh, a walk? That's what I'm thinking in my head. Okay, this might be it. So, it's dark at this point. People are at the campfires, and we start walking down the path next to the cornfields, and it's really dark. And we're just talking, just taking a walk, and it was fine. But we start to go deeper, and I'm like, this is kind of creepy. Because one side it's like the dark black woods, and the other side is just like black corn, because everything was so dark. But he quickly changed the subject. He moved it towards us talking about us and our relationship. And
she was like the nieces had been there. It was a little dark out in the
cornfield. We had to get back.
Not a deal breaker, but I did have to make the conscious effort to move the conversation in that direction.
Yeah.
And I put that in the article because I wanted people to know that it was like the perfect moment, but I still had to nudge it. I still had to guide it in the right direction. That was my responsibility to make that moment happen. But I didn't make that moment happen. God did, because we got down that path, and I shifted the conversation. We started talking about our relationship and how grateful we were and are for each other. And like the darkness pulled back, and the moon just shone so bright.
Yeah.
Like right during the moment of the proposal.
Yeah. And it was just like, at that point, I didn't even care that I didn't even care what I said before, that it was kind of creepy. We're standing out here in the dark, because it was just such a beautiful moment, and I was waiting for that moment, and it was so special between the two of us. And then the fact that the moon was just, lit up the whole area. It was beautiful. And shout out to Lady Pitbull Bear. She took amazing pictures of the moon that same night. And one of the pictures that she took is in the article, so you'll be able to see that. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. I think she has like a P900 camera, a really nice camera, so the quality and the detail. But so that picture kind of just, it's special to us, because it was the night that we got engaged. And so after the engagement, we're just geeked out, super excited, holding hands, giggling to each other, and we're walking back, and I'm like, what do we do? Do we tell people? Because we went back, it was like right before the fireworks show. But and then
well, we went back towards the house, spent some time up there. We were just enjoying it to ourselves for a little bit, kind of walking around this giant festival with our little secret. And then we came back to the fire where you were sitting at. I actually remember us all sitting around.
It was a big bonfire. That one was huge.
It was amazing.
I was trying, because it's a 3-day event, I was really trying to have conversations with as many people as possible. And I think, there was another Hanging with Bears where somebody was saying, J Bear was saying it's really nice to have small, if you're going to meet regularly, it's really nice to have small groups. But when big groups gather, I really think that having that multiple day where at night you guys can just relax around the campfire and talk amongst each other. There's lots of gravy being shared. Friendships are being really solidified. And so it was a really great opportunity for me to go around and just meet people. And I was really grateful to be able to sit and talk with you guys. And you're like, yeah, we just got engaged. I was like, oh my gosh, really? That's like, I didn't even know what was going on. And I was like, wow, you guys, it was, like things really happened fast in Barataria. I think that just us being members of the community, we do have some core things that connect us all. We desire truth. We want what's right, what's fair, what's just amongst us. And so connecting with people is fairly easy. It's just getting those connections. But yeah, so we're around the s'more campfire.
Well, and so we had went and talked to 7 Acre Bear, and he was just talking to us. He was excited about something, and we're just kind of like, like sitting there listening to him. And once he found out later that we were married, he's like, there was something off about you while I was talking to you guys.
Oh yeah, because like right when we were coming back from the cornfield, we're just like huge smiles on our faces. We're super excited. We just got engaged. And then he comes up and he starts talking to us. And we're like, sorry, but we don't really want to talk right now because we've got this awesome thing that just happened. We need to just go, like, we just wanted a moment, to ourselves.
So we went over by the campfire and sat down, and you were to the left. Hope Bear was to my right, and Hank Bear. You remember Hank Bear?
Hank Bear, legend. Yeah, Hank Camera, and Birth Alchemy, Western Ranger, Kit Kat, I think, had a lot to do with it. But that was a great, they did a good job getting all that together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I missed anybody.
Oh, probably a bunch. There were so many there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were sitting there at the fire, just smiling at each other, like nobody knew yet. And then Hank's standing in front of us. He turns around. He's like, "What are you guys so happy about?"
He started getting curious. He's sniffing it out.
And then we're like, "We just got engaged."
Well, we looked at each other. We're like, "Well, should we tell him?"
Yeah.
We'll tell Hank Bear. So I said, "Hank Bear, we just got married."
Engaged.
We just got engaged.
Yeah.
He turns around to the whole circle. "Hey, everybody! Windmill Bear and Hope Bear just got engaged."
Yeah.
So that was that.
Yep.
That's so sweet. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that Lady Pitbull Bear had something to do with it, with taking a picture of the moon. The moon was really awesome. When we could see it, it was really beautiful. The temperature was great.
Yeah. It rained. It was,
aside from the rain, it was
yeah. It was still great. There's still a lot of dry spots. Even all the little boys had fun playing in the mud, digging the trench in all the water. That was a blast for them.
Yeah, well, and then you show up, and we avoided all the rain. We got there right after it downpoured, and just the mentality of the Bears. You get there, and there's just already a bunch of men there with their sons, shoes off, jeans pulled up, digging trenches. No one's like, hey, there's plenty of people there to direct if need be, but everyone's ready to roll up their work.
Right, no one was complaining at all. It was just okay, this is the issue, let's deal with it. Then that was the mentality of
no victim mentality.
Yeah, no victim.
Yep.
The water came, and be like, oh no, Midwest Bear Fest is ruined.
Nobody even thought that.
Oh yeah,
it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah,
it was really fun. So awesome. So now you guys are engaged. Life is changing. You got kind of a vision and a path of where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after that, you had an incident.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. 3 weeks after we got engaged.
Yeah, I had a terrible. It was a bad work accident, and I've pretty high pain tolerance. These things don't shake me up too much. It was a pretty bad accident.
It was very bad.
I shattered my left elbow, compound fracture of the right wrist, traumatic brain injuries, 2 of them, which subsided immediately, and multiple facial fractures. Fell off.
You look like you're pretty well put together. You healed pretty quickly from that.
Yeah. There's a scar right there. That was from where the hand folded over.
Yeah.
Then, so you had a fall from a ladder, just in case anybody didn't know. You had a fall from a ladder, and it was a pretty high fall.
Yeah, about approximately 15 to 20 feet, I would say.
Yeah, on a concrete driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And
nice soft. That would have been nice. There's some flower bushes.
A nice lilac to just roll into. So you end up having to go into the hospital. And how long were you in the hospital for?
8 days.
8 days. And then physical therapy, are you guys done with that?
No.
You're still going to that?
On to occupational therapy. A little more intensive than physical therapy, but for all intents and purposes, they do the same thing. So I'm going 3 days a week. I'm on to a lot of strengthening right now, but still always working on range of motion, keeping everything stretched out, because when you isolate it for that long and then with an aggravated injury like that, things don't want to move.
Yeah, and you're probably wanting to like allow your body to heal, put things together. So there is a lot of sedentary activity.
Yeah, and it's just, trying to avoid as much as that as possible. Walking, we were doing Wii Fit there for a while. Keep the balance, keep the strength.
So Hope, like, you're going through this. What are you thinking? Like, this has got to be really devastating.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard to deal with. I was at work when his like office called me. And, it was like whoever was telling me on the phone that he got into an accident. I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, I think he broke his arm. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, he broke his arm. Like, that's, like, I didn't know how severe it was until much later into the day. So I went to the hospital, and they weren't allowing anybody to visit him just yet because they said, like, he had just got there and it could take a couple hours. So, I went back to work, and I was just anxiously waiting until his doctor called me and explained to me the reality of the situation. And, it was really scary. I ended up going to the hospital, as soon as I could, and, ended up staying there. It was on a Friday, I think. And he was having surgery that night. And two of my closest friends, they came to the hospital just to sit with me. So, and they brought me like a care package, just really awesome, supportive people.
Yeah, tons of support.
Yeah, and it was amazing the amount of support and care that, people were trying to offer us. And for me, I was just, I feel like I could deal with intense situations well enough. So I was able to handle myself. But every night when I was driving home, I was crying my eyes out. It was just like, it was difficult, but I just knew that, I just had faith, in God, that whatever the outcome is, that we're going to be okay in the end, no matter what happened, or, whatever his condition was, that things were going to work out. His parents came right away from Wisconsin. Yeah. They drove through the night. So they came there right away. So it was three of us together, his mom and dad, and then me.
And I think you have to go around Chicago area, so it's like an 8-hour, 10-hour drive.
I think they drove through Chicago, and
yeah,
which
my dad normally wouldn't do, but I'm sure they were hurrying.
Yeah, they were terrified too. But
it looks like BB's live. But we can finish our story.
It was really difficult. He was in the hospital I went there every day as much as I could. I was leaving work and spending all my time there. They wouldn't let anyone spend the night, but I would get there right away just to be with him. He wasn't being really, I don't know, wasn't really being treated the best in the hospital when it comes to like hygiene and, nutrition. So it was great to have myself there and his parents to kind of like help fill in those gaps, because he really needed care. Like, he needed somebody to take care of him. And after he came out of the hospital 8 days later, which we were not expecting him to be released so soon, they were sure of it. And so he got out of the hospital, and he ended up staying in my apartment with me, because I was just going to take care of him. Yeah. And it was literally like the next day that weekend. So he came home Friday. It was Halloween, I think. And then the next day was Saturday or whatever. And we decided that that I should just quit my job and take care of him full time, because, we weren't really sure what to do. He couldn't take care of himself.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't drive. Couldn't open pickle jars. Couldn't.
Oh no, that's just terrible.
So I couldn't shower.
And he was still in a lot of pain. And he had the fixator thing on his arm, like the metal rod to like keep his wrists together.
It was an external fix.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that. Yeah, that's pretty intense.
That had to be sterilized and cleaned every day. So, so I ended up I ended up calling my boss on like Sunday, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't, work for you. Sorry, but this is what it is. I have to, he's going to be my husband. And the fact that like I was his fiance in that situation really, I don't know if it like would have, changed my perspective. Like, what if I was his girlfriend in that situation? Like being his fiance, like his future wife, like that really was just like cementing like the love that, like I have for him, and that I felt like important, like I was meant to be there, and that I wasn't like a burden with his family there, just being like a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really nice for me.
Probably made it much more, I guess, peace of mind through the whole thing, knowing that we were engaged and not just working towards engagement.
Right. But yeah, so
and it sounds like your family was already pretty supportive of you.
Oh, incredibly, yeah.
Encouraging you to, you're doing this. You're gonna propose tonight.
Yeah. It wasn't even so much of a question. He was just assuming. That's how awesome an older brother he is. He just assumed that I was all ready. He's like, yeah, you're doing that this weekend, right? I'm like, yeah. Like, duh.
So I'm just going to say, because I think it should be said, that I'm really shocked on how quickly you recovered. Like, I thought that was going to be a lot longer, that it was, because the pictures that I initially saw, I was like, man, that is rough. Like, that is going to take some time to heal from. And so I'm just really in awe of how quickly you recovered, because now you're still doing things, but like, there's you're still doing things, but you're able to just be up and running. Like 8 days in the hospital. I mean, that's why we have hospitals, is like for situations like what you went through. That's where they actually shine, in those situations. But I couldn't imagine. I reached out to Hope and I was like, I'm just praying for you. Like, I couldn't imagine, but I think you're right. Like, you had to quit your job. You had to really set your priorities. Okay, I'm going to set my priorities toward my husband, like my future husband, and really just find that cohesion that you have together, that like husband and wife have.
Right, and the thing about it is like him and his parents and I, we were talking, and we were really considering like hiring somebody, like an nurse to like take care of him. Like, that's where our minds just automatically went. And I was thinking that I was just gonna have to keep working through all this, and just be gone. Like, I worked an hour away from where I was living, so it was a really long commute. Although the hospital he was staying at was 15 minutes away from where I was working. Mm-hmm. So it was really convenient at that time. But to come back home, to be gone like half the day, wondering about him, if somebody else is taking care of him, and just quitting, I think really helped accelerate his healing, because I was able to take all of my time and focus it on him, really take care of him, nurture his body, give him good food, like
encourage me to do OT, just words of affirmation, positivity,
keeping his spirit alive. And we were praying a lot together, and giving him a lot of like relaxing spa baths, so you could just sit and just soak all of that off of him. And I feel like that really, all of that just mixed all together, really helped heal him. And then of course the prayers and the support from everyone else. I would read just some of the things that people were saying, reaching out to us. It was kind of overwhelming, but in a good way. It was just really encouraging to have people support us through that.
And I think it's because of the prayers of everyone that my brain bleeding stopped. Because I had 2 TBIs, and they were small, but both of them were contained. because the neurologist had to clear it before the orthopedic surgeon could put my arms back together.
Yeah.
And so if those hadn't been in check, then they would have had to delay the surgery on the hand and the elbow, which could have caused further complications. Any type of delay with trauma surgery, decreases the likelihood of it being reattached or healing successfully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was directly to do with the prayers. I believe that was directly to do with the prayers. Allegedly. Could it be?
Allegedly. Man, like, we've seen some demonstrations in the last year of some prayers situations. Wow. So you guys are still on board. You're basically Hope kind of in this decision of where a lot of parents kind of have to decide, am I going to send my kid to school, like a public school or a private school while we both work, or am I going to stay home with them and raise them and do all the things that need to be done? And it's kind of that similar thought process, I would like to say, where you're like, I'm just gonna, like, why would I hire somebody to take care of them when I could just take care of them? Because a lot of the time, like, the cost of you hiring somebody to come in is, it's kind of like the daycare expenses or, sending your kid off to school. Like, just, does that feel right to you or whatever?
Right, exactly. And it blew my mind. And he was, like, walking me through it, that, like, it was totally okay for me to quit my job. Like, I don't know, it's because I guess I've been working ever since I was 16. It's like in that constant mindset where you have to work. And it was like, and we had talked about, like, once we were going to get married, that I was going to quit my job anyway. So, like, we were already on that path, but the fact that it happened, like, way sooner than we were expecting, I was still, like, having trouble, like, grasping, like, this is okay, like, I'm allowed to do this, I can quit my job, and he's like, yeah.
It really is jarring.
Yeah.
Well, it's that instinct, and I don't know where it comes. I wouldn't say instinct, but the programming where the knee-jerk reaction was to outsource my care.
Yeah.
Was continue to go to work and think about buying care rather than just directly providing the care to your family and to your loved ones yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously, the better way. But is it? Through a lot of us got convinced that it wasn't. But through Beartaria, we're getting back to that, where there's value in staying at home and being around your family and providing for your family, because you're just going to take all that money you make from your second job and spend it on daycare and nannies anyways. So just be your own daycare, be your own nanny.
And if you really think about it, because Owen did the inner child stream, that week was really fire. But when he did that inner child stream and he's talking about taking care of that child, I think a lot of our generation is struggling so much because they were sent to daycares, they were sent off to public school, and their parents didn't intervene in their education and show just like any effort towards that. They're just like, nope, I've got to work to make money. This money is more important than me being with you. And then to soothe them, because there is trauma in that, to soothe them, it's like, oh, I'm just going to buy you these things. I'm going to give you this, and then it'll quell like whatever trauma you have. So there really is like a really big trauma around sending your children to daycare. There is, and then, vice versa, like your first instinct is to farm out the responsibility that the family should have towards another member of their family, or, in your case, a soon-to-be member of your family. And so, like, we see this all the time with boomers and them getting sent to like sending grandma or grandpa off to nursing home because they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And so that it's just it's a cultural thing that we all participate in. And, it's a great thing that in Beartaria, we're just like, we don't want to participate in that.
Yeah.
It's getting back to that because it seems so unnatural. That how how could, why is it's not so much that the ability to outsource it exists, like that's fine, there'll always be a merchant there to sell you something. It's, why is the impulse there to want to out? That's the real question to me. There's always someone willing to sell you this, that, and the other thing, daycare, and you want us to take care of your kids? We'll take care of your kids for you. Just sign on this line. But so why the impulse? Where did that come from? Is that programming? Is that a byproduct of being white? No, also want responsibility.
I was listening to Friday stream earlier today, Owen's Friday stream, and he was talking about, the merchants are always going to be there. And it's like, are you going to give in to the sin that the merchant is willing to sell you? And it's not the merchant's fault. It's your consent into that contract with needing that and, farming that out. And that's why we're in this. And it's so weird because, in my state, we throw so much money at education, like for public school. We throw so much money, and it's like, we're like in maybe 45th or something like that in the nation. And it's like, you can't just throw money at it, boomers. Like, at some point, the parents need to take responsibility, which is, it's their reserved right under God to take care of their children. Normal Bear said, the programming in women working is so ingrained that it is usually a kind of a traumatic event has to happen in order for us to release it. Like quitting jobs it's getting a little bit easier for me, but
yeah. I've had like so many, and I've always thought this was kind of weird. I've only had a handful of jobs, but I've had these jobs for years. But there was always like a woman manager or like a woman in like a higher position, and there was just always like a weird dynamic between like me and like this like female boss, and I could never like explain it. I was just like, why is it every job I'm going to, there's like this weird dynamic between like me and like another female, like who's my boss? Like aren't we supposed to be friends? Like we're both girls, you know what I mean? And I can never like put my finger on it, but I just thought it's just something to share. I haven't come
I had the same thing. Like I had this in my previous job, I had to leave it because I had this female boss. I had two female bosses. The first one was fine. Like she's very alpha male characteristics, was actually really good at being a leader of the team, at least for me. Maybe not the other people, but for me it was. And then her replacement was somebody that I had worked with, and we were friends. And then the dynamic changed, and her expectations of me were unrealistic. I was like, like I took over your position, exactly what I'm doing. And she expected me to do, because I was working overtime, probably about 50, 55 hours a week. And she was like, you can't have overtime anymore. And I was hourly. And she's like, and then you still need to do these extra things that you haven't been doing, and you need to figure it out. And I was just like, I don't agree to that. Like I was sitting and I was looking at this paper, and it said, Oregon is an at-will state. And I was like, okay. And so it really resonated with me. I'm just sitting there looking like, what are you consenting to? And then I had to like really look at overall, what am I consenting to? I had credit card debt, car payment, house mortgage, personal loans, and then like medical bills and all this stuff just kind of piled up. And I'm like looking at this heap of debt because that's like a good control mechanism. I'm looking at this heap of debt and I'm like, okay, like I'm going to get out of this. And so I was like, I'm out. Like I'm done selling my house. Like I'm out. Like I just don't want this anymore. So, but it really took like thinking of what am I consenting to, and that the feminist working programming, it really runs deep, where you're like working from 16 until 26 or 25 or however old you are. Like you're just working and you're like, I'm uncomfortable, even though you don't have any debt. Like, you just paid off all your debt, you know?
Yeah.
And like, thank goodness that was you're like, that's going to be the gift to my husband, is not having any debt.
Yeah.
And like, you were able to quit your job and not have to worry about extra expenses as you're going through taking care of him.
Yeah. And, you know, this was, I remember it was the night that it happened. You know, Jacob got in the incident and he was in surgery. And I remember talking to my mom on the phone. And this was before any donations or anything came through. She just kept telling me, because I was like, well, what am I supposed to do about work, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was so worried about everything else, but then also him at the same time. She was just telling me, you know, don't worry about money. She's like, if you have to quit your job, you have to quit your job. She's like, don't worry about it at all. She's like, it will be fine. She's like, you have money right now. It's going to be okay. And I was like, okay. So I was taking that reminder and just, you know, forgetting about it. And yeah. And I didn't worry about it since, you know, and I'm still not worried about money.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to not have to worry about that. It's like, you know, it's the things that you need are going to be provided to you.
Yeah.
And really having that faith that you're going to be cared for is like so key, so spot on. Like, it's the right move to be in. But you can't be in there when you're like in despair, when you're really being pulled down by all this debt. Like, it really is, okay, I need to take care of this so that it's not a burden to me. It really is a burden. It's like, you know, you can cast those burdens on to God and like have him help you through those things.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of female boss conversations in the
we're not seeing any conversations.
Bear for All Season says, one female boss I had didn't want any male looking at her because she felt uncomfortable and no man could be in the elevator with her.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Cameron says, women who have to work should never be in leadership. It's always a disaster. They really can't handle it. Like, some of them can, like, there's a very small portion of women that can, but it still goes to their head. There's still probably something whack there. Woodshop has never had a female boss. All right. And Lady Pipple says, I have no debt. I'm sure that she meant debt either. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. So you're going through this, you're like, I'm quitting my job, and you still have to get married. So that's still a thing.
Yeah.
So you guys just recently got married.
Yep.
And it looked pretty simple. There wasn't a lot of fanfare. It was just beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Very beautiful. A little more fanfare than I was anticipating. We had resolved and expected to plan a small wedding. And then as it developed, you know, things just got a little more nicer than we expected, which was a nice surprise. You know, flower girls, dresses.
Yeah.
Our dress code, we made the dress code, you know, a little notch up so people dressed really nice.
Yeah.
We had a planting ceremony where we planted a tree, a white oak. And we had the pastor gave a little sermon around that. And we planted a white oak tree in a tall vase. And a white oak tree has a 25-foot taproot that shoots down. So we built that into the theme of the wedding, you know, given that the bears, we found a hill to grow on, you know, and putting roots down. And we really wanted to bring that out in our wedding, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. The tree planting ceremony was really.
I'll go grab the vase.
The tree planting ceremony was like significant to us because we both just started. We grew a container garden at my apartment. That was our first garden together, and it was really successful. At least to us, it was. But yeah, the wedding was super simple. You know, despite the accident, we're like, yeah, we're still getting married, and why should we have to wait? We wanted to get married before the end of the year, prior to the accident, and then in reality, the accident only delayed us like a week or two. And we planned the wedding in 4 weeks. And we're just like, we just want to get married, get it going. Planned something super simple. I found my wedding dress for like $23 online.
Oh, nice.
And it was everything was, it wasn't anything like too expensive. It was very affordable. Our closest family members were there. Our closest friends.
My family came over from Wisconsin.
Yeah, his family came over from Wisconsin, and we had all of our nieces be the flower girls. I had a maid of honor, and then he had a best man. So we each had one person, and we tried to make it like, just like a regular wedding ceremony in a church, and it turned out to be really beautiful. And now I like want to encourage people just I planned my wedding in 4 weeks, and it was awesome. And we had a dinner afterwards at a restaurant. And it was way better than I was expecting. We had the whole bottom floor to ourselves. So it was very private, and we were able to have a dinner there. And it was great. And it was super quick. It was really fun, formal, intimate, a really fun time. And it was a great experience for our friends and family to witness us getting married.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to spend all this money on a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not about the pomp and the flair of it. I mean, if that's what you really want, or you have the resources to do it, go for it. But I mean, if you're poor or not rich, just plan a small wedding and get married. What God has in store for you through the rite of marriage, through the gift of marriage is don't get too hung up on planning the big wedding.
Yeah.
Because that's just one day. It's a beautiful day, but you've got a whole marriage in front of you.
But I don't want to be engaged for 2 years.
4 years, 7 years.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, this is imagine introducing her as my fiance for 7 straight years. Oh, this is
my. I hear that's gay.
Very gay. Not allegedly.
This is
not allegedly.
We found this at the Salvation Army because we just wanted a big pot that would look nice, and it's got our tree in it. It's
so cute.
The seed.
Yeah, it's a nice lawn. We found that at the Salvation Army.
Yeah. But, yeah. What else did we do?
We did the traditional vows. And we like the part where it says, do you take this person to be your husband or wife? And instead of saying I do, you say I will. And we talked to the pastor about that. It was just a slight variation of the traditional vows, and you liked it because it's active, it's present, not like, oh, I do take this person, or will you promise to cherish them, love them, for the rest of your life?
Right, because in that moment
I do. Yeah. It's like I do right now. It's like, no, I will.
Yeah.
I do. I'll continue to do that. So just a little.
That's really thoughtful.
Yeah, I really liked that. Yeah, because it's like you're making vows right there, so it's you will do these things, not like you do them already. You're not husband and wife, at that point. But it was.
Yeah,
it was
I do. You do the right things to get up to the point of marriage. It's like, are you going to continue to do the right things and engage in your marriage and grow your marriage? I'm sure a lot of guys and girls fall into that trap. Well, okay, we got that one.
Yeah.
Never thought past that. It's just the pomp and the flair and the the glitz and the glamour.
The recognition, oh my gosh. What kind of advice do you give bears, given, you guys met, it sounds like Christmas 2020, and it's 2022, you guys are married. So what kind of advice do you give to single bears out there that, are really looking to just establish a family and crush?
I'm so glad you asked, because that was actually one thing I wanted to definitely talk about before we hung it up. So to the guys, I can only talk to the guys indirectly about my experiences and how it evolved and how I finally ended up becoming a man that was ready for engagement, was worthy of a wife, and that's what it is. You can call it this, that, or the other thing, or look at someone else's situation and be like, oh, it must be nice. It's like, but, so my thing is there's a couple things, but stop thinking about women. I would say to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even a couple of my close bear friends, you know, in my inner circle, you know, I've heard some like low key kind of like muff be knifing, you know, versus relationships, or you know, kind of this disempowered position when they talk about it, and it kind of gives you insight that I got from watching Owen, from watching the Bears, and that you're still like ego-centered, or some, you know, you're still obsessing about it. You're still thinking about it too much. You haven't let go of whatever that idea is you have of attraction and women, and just let all that go. Like, literally don't think about women and just crush. And just go to the farm, go to these bear meetups, you know, meet other men that want to crush, do projects, build fences, build chicken coops, repair chicken coops, learn how to do animal husbandry, you know, high five, drive four-wheel, you know, just crush, and get your intentions right, you know, because get your intentions right. Because if your intentions aren't straightened out, then your expectations won't be tempered. You know, and you're just setting yourself up for failure, and you're probably still looking at things all wrong. And this is coming from a guy that needed just as much help as any other guy. Like, I needed Owen's lessons on relationships. I needed his relationship advice. So just humble yourself, you know, listen to the lessons that he has, like really listen to him and take it to heart, because, you know, you probably need it, you know, and just focus on the crush. Yeah, that's the big thing. I just really wanted to address that. Is just put it out of your head. How am I supposed to get a
Don't focus on women. Just focus on leveling up your skills.
100%.
Getting in with your community.
Yeah.
Literally
doing the best that you can.
Right.
Yeah, literally anything else besides obsessing about women will most likely increase your chances of finding a wife.
And then Hope, what do you say to the ladies?
I would say to the ladies, enjoy your time being single and stop obsessing over guys. Because I've had that problem too, where I've like had a really intense crush, but it was only like one-sided, you know, and it's just like trying to come up with these stories or scenarios in your head that are not real at all, but things that you know wish could happen. I would say just push all that to the side. I was single for many years after. So I was in a lot of like relationships and dating and stuff for years, and I was just so drained emotionally from that. It was just like I'm so done with this completely, you know, for now at least. And I knew ultimately that I wanted a husband and a family, and I wasn't finding it because I was seeking it, like I was pursuing that. And so I decided to just, you know, really deal with the things that I have going on in my life, you know, figure out like what I want to do, regardless if there's a man there or not, and just really focus on myself and my hobbies, the things that I like to do. And, you know, through that, I ended up finding like Owen streams, and that became one of like my favorite things to do. I would listen to him every day. You know, he's hilarious, really insightful. But yeah, I would just say if you start to see yourself getting obsessed with somebody, just block them out of your mind. You know, have a heightened awareness for like red flags. You know, don't give a guy too many chances if you know in the end he's just gonna screw you over. But that's also like trying to find like the right people too. Like if you're not talking to like a high quality man, you're gonna find a lot of these red flags. But, you know, within the big bear community, there is a lot of high quality men out there, you know, that do value the same things as you and do have the same interests as you. You just have to be patient. And I, you know, encourage women to go out to bear meetups and to be social and just get to know people, you know, just no pressure, you know. If you're talking to a woman, if you're talking to a man, just no pressure, just be yourself. And I mean, it sounds cliche, but that's really what you have to do.
Cliche because it really is.
Yeah, no, don't have too many expectations. If something doesn't work out, just be okay with that and know that, you know, there's something better for you. You know, just have hope.
Have hope.
So, yeah. Did you have another comment, Windmill, or are you just supporting?
Do you have another comment?
No, I was just supporting.
Okay. So my next question is, where are you guys like looking for? Like, what is your next big thing that you guys are really focusing on?
Homesteading.
Yeah.
Homesteading. It's been a goal since before marriage. It's just the vision. The vision envisions the dreams of Bertaria. So the goal setting that we do, paying off the debt, keeps us focused on the dreams of Bertaria, because that's what it's about. Is getting 5 to 10 acres. Growing your own garden, becoming more self-sufficient, knowing 10 people within 10 miles. And, I've been plugged into a wonderful community over here in Michigan. So got way more than 10 bears, maybe not within 10 miles, but, doing pretty good. So the big vision is homesteading.
Yeah, we're looking for land. We don't know when exactly we're going to make that jump yet. We're in his apartment right now, and his lease is going to be up very soon this year, so we're not sure if we're going to stay here a little bit longer or if we have to move, and we're not really sure where that's going to be. But ultimately, hopefully within this year or maybe early next year, we'll be able to find some land and start and just go at it. We want to buy raw land and develop it ourselves.
Just keep sending it like we have. Meet, get married, fall off a ladder, still getting married.
Yeah. What comes in our way, we're just going to what our dreams are, and we're just, being very faithful and having hope that God's going to bring us, to where we need to be.
I'm trying to remind myself to stay in prayer.
Yeah.
Because when I do, things just happen. I've never seen more clear than any time in my life, and I've gone in and out of my faith, but as I try to stay in prayer, because it's having such a profound impact. I've never seen prayer manifest so, what's the word? Clearly in my life and so quickly.
Well, and it's so great that you guys are on like the same like plane. You guys are on the same page.
Oh yeah. That's a big one.
I think that the accident really, like, even though it was pretty horrific, that it just bonded you guys together so much that now, like, the little things that come up in life, you guys are going to be able to get over them pretty easily and just work through them. And then still, like, be together on this voyage to, wherever you guys end up settling. That's so awesome. It's so amazing. You guys have such a beautiful story, such a good Bertarian love story. You're just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. We got the date for the Hanging with Bears episode. It's like, it's 2 days before Valentine's Day.
I kind of planned it a little bit, so
that's awesome.
There's no synchronicities. It just happened to, like, okay, there's this date, I'm gonna fill it in.
Serenity Valley Farms, they did a Valentine's Day dance, so that was like one of our like first dates. We got all dressed up and we had like a swing dance in the basement. It was incredible.
Yeah, we were practicing.
Was that the one that Hank went to, Stephanie?
Yeah. Yep.
And they got married very shortly after that. Man, Serenity Valley they're just 1, 2. Like, are there any more? Like, we don't know about. They're just crushing it on the get-togethers. That's so awesome. Yeah, they're amazing people. Like, it's so great. So, well, we've been going for almost an hour and a half, and I want to give you guys a chance to talk about any other topics that you want to talk about, any gravy topics that you guys like, synchronicities, anything like that.
There was one thing I wanted to touch on, probably the most profound lesson that I learned in my time with the Bears. I think it was in 2019. I want to go back and look at the streams, maybe I can talk to some bears and find it. Owen was hard to put it in context because, you know, the 2.5 hour streams, these broad, you know, strokes, you know, over many weeks. But he was there was a lot of like anger being directed at these perceived like groups that are agitating, like BLM, Antifa, you know, and on the other side of that, you've got, you know, the Q-tards, which, you know, totally was. And, you know, the Trump supporters all like, oh, look at the insane behavior of these people. And everyone's pointing, oh, this person's crazy, that person's crazy. And I don't know, just he's so brilliantly over a few episodes just kind of laid it out. Like, you're not above that. You're not above that behavior. You look on the camera and you see these people acting crazy out in the streets. Like, don't think you're above that. Don't think that there's something in you that isn't that. You know, it's probably what's causing you to be so like furious at it. And then I thought about it, and I just imagined looking at myself, you know, through all my ups and downs and my trutherism, and getting frustrated at the Gravelers and the Jews and the, you know, the Chinese
and the globe earthers.
No, and the globe earthers. You know, it's just, you're not above it. You know, any one of us, what's the name? Any one of us could be on Geraldo or whatever that is, with our ridiculous lives and stories and what we believe. And so you're not above it. You know, and I thought, yeah, you know, in my most crazy moments where I was venting, you know, frustration and rage, you pointed in the wrong way, probably even upset about things that weren't even real, I would look just as crazy as that Antifa person out on the street, you know, in my worst moment. And so when I realized that, like, I wasn't above it, it was just such a profound lesson, because I don't know if it was like arrogance or indifference. Like, I didn't think I had that in me, but it was, and to this day, I don't know what it was, but I got over a big hurdle. In psychologically, internally, what it was is I think I was projecting my own sin onto these groups. And then when he said, you're not above it, I'm just like, oh, I can just work on myself. Or I should just work on myself and not judge my fellow man.
Yeah, because that was like the Chaz time, like BLM, Chaz, like in Seattle. Is that the time that they were doing that? I can't remember.
Yes, I can't remember specifically like what.
Right. He's really been
hammering on that. Like,
yeah, even now he's doing that, I think, with, you know, with the Canadian quote unquote trucker. I don't know if they're all truckers or anything like that. It just seems like a, you know, whatever it is, it's like still this staged media event. Even if there's some truth in it, it still is a staged media event, because anything that is media, mainstream media, I think Owen's been really talking about it. It's really that influence that just gets in your mind. Like, there's a lot of us that talk about not watching news anymore, and how such a profound feeling comes over us where we're just not stuck in despair or thinking that somebody's coming after us or whatever. And it's not just restricted to mainstream media. I think a lot of the times the talking heads in, even if it's like the liberal talking heads or the conservative talking heads, a lot of the times it's just like they're balancing each other out, but it's like they're kind of pointing at each other, the same thing that it is. So like you said, it where you're projecting anger at the other person, when it's really you that's struggling with that, whatever sin it is.
You're right. You're projecting your internal world onto these groups that have been set up to do that. So you can offload your sin and keep getting milked. And it's bullshit. And you know, then that impulse to want to engage, you know, and what you just pointed out something really neat, is that, you know, you're breaking that conditioning, you know, through staying with the bears, hanging with the bears, you're breaking that conditioning, and that, you know, you scroll through Instagram or whatever it is, and that thing that wants to pull you in and get it to engage, it's like, it's so strong, but it's like the longer I stay with the bears, the more I recognize it, and I just scroll past, you know, a comment that's just like meant to bait you back into the polarity of the left, right, up, down, whatever it is. It's just by being in this community, it's breaking that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is that causes us to want to engage in that, because like the pull is still there. You see something outrageous and you're like, oh, you want to say something like, I'm the smart boy, but it's just walking away from that, like say more, none for me. It's like, do you want the ho-hos or do you want the Twinkies? And it's like, they're both none.
They're both Little Debbie. It's still Hostess. Spies Like Us, I think, kind of really put it succinctly. Said the hardest part of being awake is being tempted to act self-righteous in the face of a system that's spiritually beneath you. I think that's pretty powerful.
Wow. I wish I could read these comments over here.
Oh, you can't read them?
No, it's like frozen.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's okay. We can
Yeah, it might be distracting. It's like it's wonderful, like talking to the chat, but so Owen talks about it sometimes too. You just want to stay focused on the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Oh, something I wanted to mention that we didn't talk about when we were like courting each other. We were writing each other letters, and it was inspired obviously from the bear streams, but it was around Christmas time. I sent him a Christmas card, and it was after we met, and we had a bear meetup at his place the next weekend of the weekend that we met. Like the next weekend later, he had a bear meetup, and I went to, and that's when him and I really got to connect a lot. So I made him a Christmas card, and I was able to write him a really well thought out note. That wasn't like, it was friendly, kind of flirty, just like expressing, that I'm, interested in him and getting to know him more. But I wasn't trying to like come on too strong. And I told him that I was going to send him a Christmas card, but then I also attached this letter inside of it too. And so he was expecting that. And so then it just became this thing where we were just writing each other letters back and forth. And it was just a really, it was really fun. And I highly encourage that between, if you're dating or if you're in a relationship already, to write each other letters, because it's a time that you can like really focus your thoughts, express your feelings on paper, and make it look really nice and present it, to the person who you're interested in or who you love. And it was, we still write each other letters. It's not as frequent as it was in the beginning because we're with each other all the time now, but it was definitely a really...
because I didn't have a hand to write.
And yeah. But, I think back, and sometimes I read the letters, and it just brings back all those memories and, that feeling, those feelings that we had for each other then, which are still alive today, even stronger. But it was just something that was really fun between the two of us that we like to do.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
That's good advice. Handwritten letters. I mean, there's a reason why Owen demands them as apology letters, because it really, like, when you're writing it, you really have to think.
Right. And then
it really focuses your mind on what you're doing.
Right.
So
like
I'll great advice.
And then I'll copy it onto paper in nicer handwriting, fix all the spelling mistakes, whatever. And so it's just like you're taking that effort and, making something nice for someone else. And they appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun to get letters in the mail.
Yeah.
I have a bear pen pal bear.
Pal bear?
Pen pal bear, yep.
Yeah, if no one's taken that, you should suggest it.
No, it really is a pen pal bear in North Dakota. Yeah.
Oh.
She'll write you a letter. She's written me a couple letters. I sent her a Christmas card and all the good stuff. So, well, I think Owen's still alive. But do you guys have any other last minute things that you want to get off your chest before we end our stream?
I got this one random piece of gravy I wrote down. I wonder if it'll open up a whole jar, though. I was just thinking.
Let the gravy flow with.
I get tension in the jaw and neck sometimes. I don't know if it's clenching or whatever. My dad got the same thing. He's a bit of a worry wart. I've kind of been a worry wart my life, throughout my life, but I'm getting better at it. And I was just wondering if that was from a battle between the mind and the heart, like the secular knowledge that's in your head, all this stuff that you're taught in school, is battling, you know, the knowledge, the information in your head is battling the knowledge in your heart that God gave you. And right between the two, it manifests as tension in the jaw and the neck and the shoulder. That's it. Just a thought. I'm wondering if like those types of, you know, spiritual conflicts, you know, within us, you know, how they manifest physically. I was just wondering.
Well, I think definitely in Chinese medicine, that they really focus on the energy kind of getting locked into certain places. Like, say what you will about Chinese foot spas, like, you know, you go in there, they actually have a method. Yeah, happy endings. So we can all laugh about it, but they actually have a method. There's really something that they're doing. They're breaking up, because I've gone to several Chinese, no happy endings, but I've gone to foot spas and had that done, and they're actually, I can feel them breaking up crystals in my feet. It's very fascinating, very interesting, and I think they're doing that same thing, like when they're giving you a back massage or whatever. Like there's definitely a technique. There's definitely some medicine in that, and yeah, reflexology is a thing. There really is something to it, and yeah, we were having a discussion. I was having a discussion earlier, and it's like our mind is. Robert said this, our mind is feminine, but our heart is masculine. And so if you're stuck in your mind, you're stuck in a feminine energy of like overthinking things, worrying or whatever. But when you're in a heart, it's like when you're all heart, you're just letting your heart lead you. You're more connected to God, because God wants to give us love, and that love is what connects us. And so when a man is like following his heart, is his vision, it's not mental. It's like, no, we're doing this, we're striving forward, I'm not overthinking things. Like I think that might be, I mean, there might be some gravy there. I definitely think that, you know, for women, it's better if she's not stuck in her head and is just really present and is not having to worry about that, and her heart is like set on taking care of the things that are in their vicinity, like the home, nurturing, taking care of children, taking care of their family, going to community, like doing that nurturing in their community, in their home, for their family. And that's where she needs to be. While the man is the one that's going out, working, his heart is to his family, but mostly like it's to God. And so he's leading his family by providing for them, being that source, and taking care of that. And then he's able to kind of time travel, and she doesn't have to, and she's not supposed to. Like the man is to be like time traveling, like, okay, this is going on, that's going on, I'm taking care of all these things. And then he goes back to her, because she's already grounded in the home, and now he can come back from wherever time travel that this is all alleged, this is like something I came up with, but where he's time traveling from, he comes back to his woman, and then he's present. He's able to be present in the home with the family and not have to worry about going out again until it's time for him to go out and traverse wherever he's got to go.
Discharge all that static energy that clings to you from going out. Just come home, get that grounded. Yep.
And the woman is just like, it's almost, she should be a release of all of that stress and all of that, all of the worry or whatever is going on. Like the woman is really, she's really the ground that kind of just pulls you back in. And because the guy's like out doing his thing, the woman's at home, she's doing her thing, but it's like creating this nurturing, relaxed atmosphere where he can come and it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. Like things are getting taken care of here.
Oh yeah. That sounds nice. That's what I want.
Yeah. I put a lot of thought into it.
I want to affirm something you said earlier. That the head is more feminine and the heart's more of a masculine energy. It's like when you're in the zone, like I can feel it. So when I'm in the zone, the energy, the electricity is coming from my heart.
Yep.
When you're in that mode, And then when you're not, it's probably coming from your head. And it's, being, I don't know, I don't want to call it Germanic or white or whatever it is, but, I get long bouts of headstrong, way too mental, to the point where when you finally have a shift to the heart, you can feel it. It's like, oh, you feel that electricity. And Black people get to live like that all the time. Just imagine like that electricity in your heart just 100% of the time, and not go back and forth between the two. Must be nice.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of other cultures where that's true. I think like there are other cultures where that is the case, but it just kind of depends on where you're at. But it really is almost a subversion, right? Because if we're supposed to be in our heart and we're stuck in our head, that's a subversion of where we should be in life. Like we need to be in that love spot, not in that head spot.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, just be in your heart more.
And if you think of the way that your eyes see it, it is like the way that our eyes work. It's flipped, when we're actually looking at it, but then we see it right side up or whatever.
It just made me think upside down Chinese eyes, like sloping.
Hilarious. Well, yeah, that's some pretty intense gravy. Do you guys have any other comments on that? Like,
just reiterate, just to the guys, focus on the crush. Stop thinking about women.
Yep.
Listen to Owen. Oh, but he did this and that and the other thing, and must be. Listen to him. Just listen to him. Shut up.
Yeah.
Not as special as you. And he's got a lot of.
You're not special, boys. Well, it's awesome. I'm so glad to have you guys on. You guys are such a lovely couple, such a beautiful love story. If you guys got the magazine, check out their article. They wrote an article about their Veritarian love story, and it really did come from, it really came from COVID. This whole thing that was orchestrated where we're like, I think normally we would probably stay home and just kind of live our lives day to day. And then when that happened, it was like, no, I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to follow quarantining. I'm not going to be stuck in my house. I'm going to go out and meet people. And it really kind of encouraged a lot of people to get out and meet. And now here you guys are married and going to have 6 million babies.
Well, our joke is to have 4 to 10 kids. We want 4 to 10 acres and 4 to 10 kids.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's our joke. If that happens or not, we'll see. But just one baby's a miracle.
Yeah.
But once he's all healed and he can use his arms, and once his arms are not broken, then a baby may be coming soon. That was before, but we'll see.
Awesome. Well, everyone loved having you on. I'm so excited for you guys and excited to see where your story goes, and just keep in touch. And I just can't be I'm just so happy for you guys. I can't be any more happy. Like, it's so great.
Thanks for having us on, and thanks for being a part of it. You were there the night it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the firework, the last thing, right after the proposal, that's when Rhino Bear started his fireworks display. It was like the moon, the proposal, and then the fireworks. And it
was epic.
Couldn't have planned it that way.
It was epic, but
God is working. It's so awesome.
But it was a pleasure talking with
Absolutely.
you. We're so happy to be on Hanging with Bears and just to get to share, our perspective on Beartaria.
And it's possible, you guys. Grab your dreams. Dream big.
It's possible. You just got to keep working towards it every day.
Keep the dreams alive. The dreams of Beartaria.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being on. You guys in the chat, thank you for being here. And I know Owen's streaming, But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Copper Bear.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.